The Jedi are often slandered by fans as sociopaths, unfeeling, heartless beings who didn't want their students to feel anything either. This, for the most part, wasn't true, as we've touched on in the past. This misconception comes from an oversimplification of Jedi doctrine, which was often abstract and open to interpretation. With the Jedi, when it came to things like emotion, there was a broad scope of moral philosophies. In this video, the second in our series about Jedi moral philosophies, we're going to be comparing takes from 3 more Jedi counselors, Yoda, Yaddle, and Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Let's start with Yoda. Everyone's favorite green midget served as a Grand Master of the Jedi Order for centuries and had plenty of time to become set in his ways. Indeed, he did end up becoming far too rigid for his own liking, but Yoda was still much more open-minded than many people seem to think. While he usually advocated for strict adherence to the doctrines of the Jedi Order, he wasn't as much of a stickler as some other notable Jedi Masters. He was willing to break Jedi rules when he thought it was necessary, as he demonstrated when, against the wishes of the Council, he broke out of the Jedi Temple medbay to fly out to the middle of nowhere in pursuit of Qui-Gon Jinn's ghost. Yoda built his philosophy with a special focus on the living Force. Even though Yoda was Grand Master of the Order, he was actually one of few Jedi who valued the living Force first and foremost. Another who shared this way of thinking included Qui-Gon Jinn. Jedi doctrine held that the Force was composed of many different aspects, among them the living Force, the cosmic Force, and the physical Force, and some Jedi ideological sects valued one over the others. While most Jedi focused on the cosmic Force, the aspect of the Force that bound the universe together, Yoda focused on the living Force, the aspect of the Force that existed within all being. He believed the primary duty of the Jedi was to guard and nurture the living Force, to serve all living beings from the tiniest flower to humans and other sentients. The Force was in all living things, Yoda reasoned, and so all living things were worth saving. In a similar vein, contrary to popular belief, Yoda encouraged love and compassion, as did most Jedi. Though he didn't condone attachment, which Jedi doctrine saw as selfish, possessive, and ultimately destructive, Yoda never shied away from the inevitability and importance of emotion, even if he urged his students to let emotions pass instead of lingering on them. Compassion, Yoda believed, nurtured the living Force and was an essential part of being a Jedi. One of his greatest regrets after the fall of the Jedi Order was that he and many other Jedi had lost sight of this during the Clone Wars. That was partially why he settled on Dagobah, a planet full of life. Yoda was always careful to never lose sight of the bigger picture, something that many incorrectly interpreted as the old master being cold and unfeeling. Though he valued each individual life, he was always sure to caution Jedi to avoid becoming too attached to individuals, lest they cause suffering for the many for the sake of one. In his time, he had seen well-meaning Jedi lose themselves to emotional attachments, falling to the dark side and doing terrible things. Yoda was determined to prevent that from happening. Because of this, he was always sure to remind Jedi of the importance of letting go. Though this might seem to contradict the importance Yoda placed on love, to Yoda, letting go was a form of love. Attachments were possession, not love. Next up, let's talk about Yaddle. Ideologically speaking, Yaddle seems to have been a lot like Yoda, though we don't know if she shared his belief in the living Force philosophy. She had a similar position on doctrine and Jedi traditions to Yoda, being generally supportive of the code but willing to bend the rules. The most important part of Yaddle's personal philosophy was compassion, one of the most fundamental Jedi virtues which Yaddle took to the extreme. As a Padawan, Yaddle was imprisoned by the tyrant of the planet Koba. The Kobans tormented her for decades, keeping her locked in a pit and taunting her to win favor with the tyrant and his crony. Eventually, Yaddle was freed by a terrible earthquake that destroyed most of Koba's infrastructure. In Yaddle's position, most people would have taken the first opportunity to leave the planet, but Yaddle didn't. Instead, she remained on Koba and helped rebuild it. Even after enduring nearly a century of torment from the Kobans, she had compassion for them and was willing to sacrifice even more of herself to help them. As a Jedi Master, compassion continued to be Yaddle's guiding virtue. Helping the innocent was always her priority, even when it meant putting herself at risk. Like Yoda, Yaddle always focused on the big picture and advocated for whatever she believed would alleviate the most suffering. She never hesitated to get involved when others needed help. Yaddle embodied the virtue of compassion to the very end. She ultimately sacrificed herself to save an innocent world from a biological weapon. Then there's our least favorite Jedi Master, Ki-Adi-Mundi. Once, Ki-Adi was a bit of a free-spirited Jedi. When he was young, he struggled with emotional attachments, particularly with his daughters and his beloved homeworld of Saria. But as a Jedi Master, he was pretty much a sociopath. During the Clone Wars, he didn't give a crap when his homeworld was ravaged by the Commerce Guild and his whole family was wiped out. Unlike most Jedi, he seemed to actually believe that Jedi should aim to feel nothing at all, which warped his philosophy somewhat. Ki-Adi wasn't so far gone that he didn't care about what happened to people. He valued the lives of innocents, but in a very detached, intellectual sense, especially in contrast to Yoda and Yaddle. He helped people not out of any sort of love, but because, as he saw it, that was his job as a Jedi. Ki-Adi-Mundi was notoriously dogmatic and short-sightedly so. Like the ancient Jedi Masters Vrook Lamar and Atris, he had a strict interpretation of the Jedi Code that he was absolutely unwilling to bend. Instead of believing that Jedi should aim to conquer their emotions, Ki-Adi-Mundi argued that Jedi should avoid that fight entirely, just to be safe. This insular approach was seen by other Jedi as risky, as one could become too detached, too out of touch with the galaxy, as the Jedi Council had become during the Mandalorian Wars. To his credit, Mundi was actually quite good at holding himself to his view of the code, but this left him dour and distinctly unfun. Ki-Adi-Mundi's dogmatic view of Jedi philosophy led him to make quite a few bad calls over the years as well. He was the first to question Qui-Gon's report that the Sith had returned in 32 BBY. He repeatedly voiced doubt for the idea that Count Dooku, a former Jedi, could endorse attacks of violence. He was the first of the council to accuse Ahsoka Tano when she was framed of murder, and he was partly responsible for drawing Yoda away from Coruscant right before Darth Sidious revealed himself. Like the Jedi Masters of the Mandalorian Wars, Mundi had lost touch with the galaxy, and it led him to make some truly awful calls. We've made a video on how much we don't like Ki-Adi-Mundi before, so you're probably not surprised by our low opinion of him. His dogmatic views objectively caused nothing but problems. Contrary to popular belief though, they weren't common among the Jedi. There were way more Jedi like Yoda and Yaddle than there were Jedi like Ki-Adi. We've said it before and we'll say it again, all our homies hate Ki-Adi-Mundi. But what do you think? What other Jedi Masters would you like us to talk about? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.